Good morning, and thank you for joining us again on Facebook Live with Andy Marsh, the Chief Constable. Thank you. So for just over a week now, we're living in either Tier 2 or 3 in the Avon and Somerset patch. And it's been a very long tunnel, hasn't it? I mean, I'm the first to say that some of the challenges to our own behaviour have been difficult. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm sure with me you were very pleased to see the beginnings of those vulnerable individuals who are now starting to have the vaccine, and they will now be being rolled out to the rest of us over the next year. So I believe that that's really positive. So today what we're going to do, we're going to ask questions about the tier restrictions, policing the pandemic, and then supporting vulnerable people over this festive period. So Andy, is there anything that you'd like to add at this stage?
Well, it's a big moment, isn't it, with the rollout of the vaccine, but a big moment also because it's Christmas and we see the relaxation of the measures for a small number of days. So the most important thing for me and for the people that I work with in the constabulary is that we get through this safely. We've had very, very sadly and tragically to attend 5 fatal road collisions since the 6th of December. We want people to be safe on the roads. We will be running our Operation Tonic drink drive operation, so please be responsible, don't drink and drive. And we also want to get through what is a tricky moment of the pandemic where we do see light at the end of the tunnel. So safety and community sticking together is the most important thing right now. So.
And in fact, just talking about Operation Tonic, I've spoken to a number of people who excuse their behaviour by saying that they're only slightly above the limit. There's no such thing as being slightly above the limit. The best thing is not to drink and drive. There is no ifs or buts about this.
You wouldn't gamble with your life, would you? Let alone those of others.
Let alone someone else's.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, so we've been living with the tiered restrictions for just over a week, and there's still some confusion between guidance and law, particularly in concern with travelling between the different tiers. So, Andy, what role do the police play in ensuring local people and local businesses follow the restrictions?
So the important thing about travelling is that your tier sticks with you as an individual. Mm-hmm. Our role in terms of how we police this, if you like, is that we're still very much thinking about the 4 E's. So we're engaging, encouraging and explaining, and as a last resort we are prepared to issue some tickets. And in fact I checked just before we've gone live today, and since the 2nd of December we've issued 42 tickets. So we'd rather not issue any, we would rather people complied, and we're out there. We have a dedicated operation doing those 4 E's.
Okay, thank you. And do you think that with the Christmas plans being different over those 4 or 5 days, what can local people expect from the police over that festive period?
Well, we certainly don't want nor will be crashing through people's doors to enforce these regulations. So what we would want and expect to is what we've been calling for throughout this pandemic is for people to take personal responsibility and collective responsibility, so that now that we can see the vaccine, it's started, it's going to gather pace, and we hope that life will return to normal. It'll be fantastic 2021. So we need people to comply. We obviously, of course, will be running our business. Our opening hours are 24/7, 365, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, every other day. We would really rather not be dealing with COVID-related enforcement during the festive period, so please be responsible.
And I think we also need to remember that our hospitals are still really struggling. And in fact, the hospitals were telling me only yesterday that their busiest time in any year is the first 2 weeks in January. So we really need to be able to do all the things that we've done. We've been out on Thursdays to clap the NHS staff. We really don't want to put them under that pressure in the first few weeks in January.
No, one life lost that is preventable is too many. I think we'd all agree that there's been far too many lives lost already. So we have actually seen, since the increased restrictions under Tier 3, a really significant drop in the daily infection rates. Of course, people will know from watching telly and listening to the experts, there's a lag. Our hospitals are still under great pressure. So we've made great progress. I think we just need to urge people to continue. They are making a difference, Sue.
And of course that's the point, isn't it? We've made great progress because of what people are doing, and it's what you out there are doing and changing your behaviour. So last weekend we saw yet another protest in Bristol, and I think there's one planned for this weekend. And there is some confusion about, are the police treating protests differently? Perhaps you could just, give us your reasons about why some are allowed and some not allowed.
So context and law is everything. So this is a really important point. During the initial lockdown, the very strict restrictions, protest was specifically exempted if the organisers conducted a risk assessment and actually did everything possible to ensure hands, face space, social distancing at the protest.
So they were allowed in the first lockdown?
They absolutely were allowed, yes. We then saw a very significant change between the 5th of November and the 2nd of December, the second mini lockdown, if we call it that. Actually, protest was not exempted. And that's why officers of Avon and Somerset took a different line with the handful of protests that we saw during that period. Now, since the 2nd of December, protest is permitted if the organiser conducts a risk assessment and does everything within their power to protect public health. If they don't, they are liable to a £10,000 fine. Now, we would say, please don't do a protest now. Please try and find another way of showing your displeasure at whatever it is you're protesting about. And we know that some organisers have heeded our advice and put them off.
Indeed. Thank you for that. That's really clear. Now, as we continue to spend the majority of our time at home, we are very conscious that there are a significant number of people who are losing their jobs, who their economic fragility is increasing, and their mental health as well. And we're concerned about the extra pressure that puts on families at home regarding being, domestic abuse and child abuse. So what should local people do if they are a victim or they know someone who is a victim of domestic or child abuse?
So if you are a victim, please find a way of telling us about it. So you can ring 999, even if you can't speak. When you get put through to the operator, if you put a 55 in, then actually it will alert the police that there's a problem. Find a way to tell us when you're out of the house or from home. We will listen and we will take you seriously. We will respond and take positive action and do everything in our power to protect you and bring offenders to justice. If you're worried about someone else, try and keep finding the moments to let them speak. That's really important. If you are in a neighbourhood and you hear what you think is a violent dispute and you're worried for someone's safety, raised voices, crashing, smashing, cries of pain, anything like that, please report the police. We will respect the privacy of your notification and we will respond sensitively. It's a difficult time for everyone and we want to help support people and keep them safe.
And for some, of course, as we've said, being at home isn't safe. And therefore they are exempt from the regulations and they can leave that property if they feel unsafe.
People are encouraged to stay at home under the current regulation, so it's not unlawful to leave. There are lots of ways in which people can pick up on domestic abuse. So we're an organisation of almost 6,000 people, and actually just this last week, two of our people, a police officer and a PCSO, have spoken out very publicly about their experience of being abused in a domestic environment, how helpless they felt, how controlled they felt, how difficult it was to talk to people. So whether we're talking about neighbours, friends, family, or indeed, really importantly, if people are thinking about the workplace, you need to be alive to this, and we need to be alive to it in our own workplace. It can cut across any social standing, income, all of our communities. It's important too. And
those two individuals, they are very powerful and very personal messages, and I think what resonated with me is that it can happen to any of us. It doesn't happen to someone else. It can happen to
Absolutely.
anyone. Okay, thank you very much for that, Andy, and thank you for listening today. So I hope that's brought some sort of clarity and answered some of the questions that you've raised. And I think that we're going into the festive period. This is a time for us to get close to our immediate family, but not too close. And remember that next year, let's approach it with hope and optimism, because we are seeing a way out. And the sooner we can all get the vaccine, the better. So thank you for listening.